Well, greetings, blade fans. This old sword's here. And I have a special, almost kind of a Grail moment today with the knife I'm about to show you. This is one I've been looking at, or to get one of these beautiful creations designed by Ramon Chaves. And I decided to break down and do that up at White Mountain, where you can get 10% off with Old Sword as your discount code. Well, we're going to do a little bit of an unboxing here, even if it's only the box the knife comes in. Beautiful magnetic flap. And look what we've got there. There is the Ultramar Redencion 229, and there's a lot of terminology in the name, a lot of which is Spanish. That would make sense because Mr. Chaves is of a Spanish background. So look at this, and we get an extra clip. We're going to get into all this in a moment, but we're already flubbing it with a clip here. I'm probably not going to be able to get that out, but I should, just so you can see it. Yeah, I took a moment and I took a pen and put it under there and pried it out. There's your plain clip. In the event you aren't too turned on by the skull clip. But since this is such a deadly knife, why not have a skull? But there's your two choices. Both beautiful wide titanium clips. One with a cute little skull on there, and the other without. So again, this is a gorgeous knife. I got it, if nothing else, for the fantastic grind work that the Reate Knife Company does, and they are the OEM for Chaves knives. Now this is the 229, and the one that I was looking at previously was the 228, the what they call the street, and it's a bit smaller. I was holding off because I think it was about a 3 1/4 inch blade, and this one is up a bump from that. We're going to get the measurements in a moment. And when I ordered this from White Mountain, only the G10s were available. Now, if the titaniums ever do become available, I may go with the other grind, which is less of a Tanto and more of what you'd call a drop point with a little more rounded belly, a little more belly forward here. But let's take some time to really appreciate what we've got going on here. Reate does everything extremely well, and that's why so many knife makers and designers go to them as an OEM. Heavy texture here, so it's very grippy, and that's one advantage you're going to get with the G10, is you're going to get that grippiness that you don't get with a smooth titanium. But the stonewash is excellent on this as well. It is a frame lock with a big significant cutout there, relief for that lock bar. Hardened steel insert, all that good stuff that you would normally expect to see. There is the skeleton key, the trademark for Chaves knives. And it is a double thumb stud, not a flipper. And it is drop shut. The detent comes in right about there, is where we encounter the ramp. So it's fairly, I don't know if it's fairly early or not, really. It's still under tension there, still under tension there, and that's pretty much the point at which it drops. Fires like a demon. Has, I would call it, a significant detent. Breaks right about there, and you can see I got a little dent in my thumb from that. Fire it out, no problem. Probably going to break in a bit over time, but I certainly don't mind that it isn't like, you know, some of these knives, and I have to include the Reich-made SOCOM Bravo by Microtech. They've got a very weak detent on about 50% of the knives. I got two of those, and one's got a decent detent and one has a very soft detent. This one is not a soft detent, so it's going to fire. You got to put some pressure on there. But we're going to pause a moment and look at that grind. Will you look at that grind on that Tanto? Hollow and flat. All right? You can see that deep hollow and a very fine and aggressive edge. You're probably not going to need to sharpen this or touch it up right out of the box. Very neutral handle with a finger groove and a long swale for 3 fingers. So you can hold this a number of different ways. Notice I've got plenty of handle. That's what I like about this size on the Chaves. Really, really, really nice. Look at the brush satin on that. I mean, crisp grinds and brush satin, I mean, those are the two things that just get me going. And of course, a nice stonewash titanium. We're going to measure this guy up. Overall, 8 1/4 inches. Not extremely long, but it certainly breaks the 8-inch mark. 3 1/2 inch sharpened edge and 3.65, let's call it, overall edge length. As far as the other dimensions go, we have a handle thickness in inches of 0.55. Have a blade stock of 0.15 or 3.9 millimeters. You'd think it would be 4, right? Not quite. 3.9 millimeters. And a weight of 5.44, we'll call it 5.44, just about 5.5 ounces. So it's not a real lightweight, but it isn't a small knife either. And what we've got here is a solid piece of G10 with no weight relieving and a solid piece of titanium with no weight relieving. Obviously, you've got hardware up here inside the G10 that's going to give you the support of the blade, and it is just drum tight. There's no wiggle, no lock rock there. As you would expect from Reate, it is perfectly aligned. And look at the amount of blade to handle ratio we've got there. That's why it's only, quote unquote, 8 1/4 inches, and yet you've got a blade this size. Really, really, really remarkable. It's a comfortable knife. Now, a bit of the elephant in the room is the jimping. It's large and it's aggressive. These are fairly sharp shoulders on those jimped grooves. You've got 1, 2, 3, and you've got 1, 2 going into the frame. So wherever you put your thumb, it is not going to slide. I guarantee you that. You'll rip a little skin off first before you slide. It's just long enough, so I like that I can brace my thumb on it the way I like to for push cuts and for Marshall blade play, just to get that reinforced cut. This is one really good, solid feeling knife. And he's maintained some pretty good thickness right out to the point. For my comparison today, I'm going to show you two other Reate made knives. The Arcane Designs Abyss. And we got the same thing going on there, just those really sweet, crisp grinds and brushed satin. Except here we've got a kind of a interesting convergence of a Bowie with a Tanto. And it is a shorter knife overall by about a 1/2 inch. Also made by Reate is the Mini Crossroads. And that is a Reate branded knife, as you can see. Also, beautiful grinds in kind of an interesting, call it a reverse Tanto if you want, kind of a clip point, drop point, a la Benchmade Osborne, almost, kind of. Still the same beautiful grind work, and this is a Lambert design. Now that's the shortest of the bunch. Being called mini, it isn't even really what I would call mini. You get all 4 fingers on there with some left over. Okay, but I would say all being made by Reate, either OEM'd out to Reate or with a Reate label. And these two probably have the most resemblance in terms of what's happening with those aggressive grinds. Of course, you got this huge trench-like fuller on the Arcane, and it is a flipper as opposed to a thumb stud. And it is a full titanium handle with these titanium anodized surrounds, if you want to call it a surround. That very interesting Israel Bacchus type design note. Very, very muted flipper tab on that guy too. And I haven't broken it in quite yet to the point where it easily middle finger flicks, but it will. But back to the Ultramax Redencion 229. And I don't know where all the names come from because, you know, there's the Street and the 228, etc. And this name Street seems to kind of go along with 228. He also makes a Warncliffe style blade, I believe. I'm not really that up on all of the Chaves designs, but looks like I may need to be fairly soon. You notice you've got what could be used as kind of a sideways finger choil there, but I'm thinking it's really more useful as a sharpening choil. Another look around, and oh yeah, well, why not? Let's pop the Griptilian in there. Pretty much same size as the Griptilian. And of course, you know what comes next, the Rat 1. And we know the Rat 1 is going to be longer than a lot of knives. And there you have it. Even if we give the advantage and perspective to the Chaves. About a 1/4 inch maybe. Something like that. If that. Yeah, 1/4 to a 1/2. All right. There you have it, folks. A beautiful knife by Ramon Chaves and made, OEM'd by Reate. Maybe I'll leave the skull on. Maybe I'll try switching it out. We'll see. Not sure how much carry this will get. I know a lot of guys will buy these knives and, you know, do the daily carry, the EDC with them. Not sure I'm going to be one of those guys, but we will find out. Maybe, maybe. So when you're talking over 300 for a knife, you've just got to make that decision sooner or later. It's either a safe queen or it's an EDC knife. And these are certainly made to take it. So, EDC on. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. I will be back with you soon. Take care. Be well.